Welcome to Heart Over Gold, the channel where love, kindness, and humanity shine brighter than any fortune. In today's story, Eliza Marshall thought she had it all with her powerful husband, Leo Solis, the CEO of Solis Global. But when she uncovered his affair with ambitious executive Chloe Vega, her perfect world shattered. In one bold move, Eliza exposed Leo's betrayal in front of everyone, turning his greatest secret into his public downfall. A billion-dollar marriage destroyed by betrayal. Once hailed as the perfect couple, the empire of Leo Solis crumbles when his pregnant wife, Eliza Marshall, exposes his affair with Chloe Vega in front of the world at a glittering corporate gala. What seemed like a life of privilege and devotion was, in truth, a fragile illusion built on secrets and lies. Eliza Marshall thought she had achieved the dream. Married to a powerful businessman whose influence stretched across continents, Leo Solis, head of the mighty Solis Global, had given her everything: a whirlwind romance, a wedding fit for royalty, and a life of private jets, charity events, and luxury beyond imagination. But hidden behind the grandeur was a deception that would one day come crashing down. Born in modest surroundings in London, Eliza had always been driven. She excelled in academics, graduating top of her international business program at just 22. Her determination earned her a prestigious scholarship at Solis Global, a multinational powerhouse in technology, real estate, and entertainment. For Eliza, it felt like the opportunity that would shape her career. Her first encounter with Leo was nothing short of cinematic. He appeared unexpectedly at the London office, young, charismatic, and already a legend for expanding the company after inheriting it from his father. His sharp mind, tailored suits, and magnetic charm made everyone gravitate toward him. For Eliza, what began as admiration soon transformed into something deeper. Leo handpicked her for major projects, praised her skills, and often worked late alongside her. Professional respect blurred into personal connection, and soon he invited her to an exclusive business summit in Paris. One evening, under a starlit sky on a private yacht, he proposed. She said yes, her heart soaring. From that moment, Eliza was swept into a dazzling new world. Their engagement dominated headlines. Tabloids crowned them the next great power couple. Leo presented her with a 7-carat diamond ring, a Solis family heirloom. Their wedding was legendary. Held on Lake Como with orchestras, lanterns drifting across the water, and dignitaries from around the globe in attendance. Life became a cycle of grand charity balls, lavish soirees, and international trips. Though it overwhelmed her at first, Eliza soon embraced her role as the poised, philanthropic face of Solis Global. But even amid the glamour, Leo's relentless ambition remained. Admirers praised his balance of business and society, while skeptics whispered about his fast-paced lifestyle. Eliza chose trust until unsettling whispers began to reach her ears. It started at a corporate cocktail party when she overheard staff exchanging rumors about Leo's mysterious late-night activities. Soon after, Andrew Collins, Leo's longtime friend and a financier himself, approached her with a subtle warning. Leo has changed. Just be careful. Though she brushed it off, doubts began to creep in. Leo grew increasingly distant, taking hushed calls, attending dinners without her, and guarding his phone. When Eliza first heard the name Chloe Vega during a lunch at Solis Tower, unease took root. Chloe, praised for her brilliance in corporate strategy, was said to be indispensable to Leo, particularly in overseeing expansions overseas. When Eliza attempted to meet her, Chloe was, conveniently, away on business with Leo. The pieces didn't fit. Eliza tried to ignore her instincts, but they only sharpened when she encountered Chloe face-to-face at a gala. Dressed in a striking red gown, Chloe introduced herself with perfect confidence and a lingering gaze toward Leo that chilled Eliza to the core. The tension was undeniable. Weeks passed, and Leo's excuses multiplied. Eliza's breaking point came one night when she discovered him whispering on the phone at 2 a.m., cutting the call short with the words, "I can't talk now. She's awake." Later, while searching his briefcase, she found a second phone, its golden case engraved with the initials CV. Her suspicions were no longer just doubts. Confused and betrayed, Eliza confided in Paige Sanchez, her loyal assistant and closest friend. Paige reluctantly admitted she had seen Chloe leaving Leo's office late at night, her demeanor far too intimate for mere business. Eliza knew she needed proof. Paige recommended a private investigator, Adam Jones, known for his discretion in high-profile cases. Adam quickly confirmed what Eliza feared. He tracked Leo's movements, collected emails, and provided undeniable evidence. Photographs of Chloe slipping out of luxury hotels after meetings with Leo, her expression radiant and disheveled. The affair was not a fleeting mistake. It was a brazen, ongoing betrayal. Still, Eliza stayed silent, playing the part of the devoted wife in public, all while her heart shattered privately. Only a handful of friends, including her mentor Victoria, Sterling, noticed her weariness. "Even queens must rest," Victoria told her kindly, but Eliza was already planning. With rage boiling beneath her composed exterior, she knew there would come a moment when she would no longer remain silent. Tormented by heartbreak and fury, Eliza wrestled with how to confront Leo. A part of her wanted to preserve the marriage, or at least save the illusions built around it. But with every new piece of evidence Jones provided, a dinner reservation under fake names, a secret flight to a conference in Singapore, it became clear that Leo was far from being repentant. The tension infiltrated their private conversations. Leo grew defensive about routine questions. Eliza found herself holding back sarcastic comments whenever he claimed to be busy at the office. One evening, Eliza mustered the courage to address the growing chasm. Leo was in his study, engrossed in what he claimed was an urgent contract with a Dubai investor. The air felt stale, so thick with secrets and fear that Eliza had to remind herself to breathe. "I want to talk," she declared, her voice unexpectedly calm. "We haven't had a conversation in weeks." Leo looked up, tired lines etching his face. "I know," he sighed. "I'm sorry, Eliza. The expansion is just taking everything out of me." She stepped closer, watching him intently. "Is there anything else? Anything you're not telling me?" He avoided her gaze, shuffling papers. "It's just work. You know me. I want to make sure we're set for life." She resisted the temptation to dump the incriminating photos on his desk. She longed to hurl accusations, demanding he name Chloe outright, but a small part of her held out hope for an honest confession. When none came, she simply nodded, feigning acceptance. She felt that if she moved too soon, he would deny everything and hide it more deeply. Patience, she told herself. Jones was close to uncovering more. When the confrontation came, it would be on her own terms. Several days later, a text from Jones arrived at dawn. "You'll want to see this. It's conclusive." Eliza's stomach clenched. At noon, she met him at a discreet location, storage unit he used for private client meetings. There, under the flickering fluorescent light, Jones showed her the final nail in the coffin. Security camera footage from the 48th floor of the Solace Tower recorded after midnight. The footage was grainy but unmistakable. Leo and Chloe stepping out of a private elevator and tangled in each other's arms, disappearing into the executive suite. They emerged 2 hours later, Chloe adjusting her blouse, Leo smoothing his hair. Jones had also uncovered an email chain between the two, referencing after-hours strategy sessions in a tone that was far from professional. Eliza felt a mix of devastation and grim satisfaction. There could be no more excuses, no more illusions. The magnitude of Leo's betrayal was undeniable. "I have to confront him," she whispered, holding back tears. Jones nodded. "It's a solid case, enough to bring before the soulless global board, if you choose." Eliza inhaled sharply, a spark of determination igniting in her eyes. He has disrespected me in our home, in his place of work, everywhere. I'll bring it to light where it will hurt him the most. At the soulless tower, Eliza was done playing the quiet, unassuming wife, the public unveiling. In the days that followed, Eliza meticulously orchestrated a plan to expose Leo's affair with Chloe. Not just to him, but in front of Sololus Global's key stakeholders. A major corporate inauguration was scheduled, a dazzling event where Leo would announce a new sustainable energy initiative. Top investors, board members, and senior executives, including Chloe, were all set to attend. Eliza contacted Victoria Sterling, who knew many of the board members personally. In a low voice, Eliza hinted that something monumental would occur at the event. Victoria, though visibly concerned, agreed to help ensure the right audience was present. Paige, for her part, coordinated with the PR department and made sure Eliza was allotted a few minutes on stage, under the guise of discussing new philanthropic partnerships. Eliza rehearsed her speech meticulously, deciding exactly how and when to deploy Jones's footage. She wanted no confusion, no room for Leo or Chloe to manipulate the narrative. Every detail was calculated. Eliza's heart pounded with fear and adrenaline, but she held firm. If her husband thought he could flaunt his betrayal in the halls of power, she would bring down the walls around him in those same halls. The night of the grand inauguration arrived, and the soulless tower was transformed into a spectacle of modern glamour. Attendees walked a red carpet into the sleek lobby, ushered by uniformed ushers, to the 50th floor ballroom. Chandeliers glittered like constellations, and champagne flowed freely as jazz music played in the background. Eliza arrived in a stunning dark blue gown that accentuated her composure. She gave a calm smile to the press photographers, her emotions buried under an exterior of practiced elegance. Leo, in a sharp tuxedo, was at her side as they posed for photos. To outsiders, they looked like the ultimate power couple. Inside, Eliza prepared for the final blow. Across the ballroom, Chloe Vega circulated among the executives, her figure wrapped in a fiery red outfit that drew glances from every corner. She exuded confidence, unaware that the night's events would sabotage her carefully crafted aspirations. At 8:00 on the dot, the house lights dimmed and a spotlight illuminated the stage. Leo took to the podium, giving a polished speech on Sololus Global's foray into sustainable energy. Once he concluded, a polite round of applause filled the room. A stagehand announced, "And now we'd like to welcome Ms. Eliza Solis for a special address." Eliza walked onto the stage, feeling a knot tighten in her stomach. The crowd's applause was warm. After all, she was admired as the philanthropic face of the Solis brand. She began her speech with the usual pleasantries, thanking donors and expressing excitement for the company's future. Then her tone changed. "Ladies and gentlemen," she said, her voice trembling with a mix of nerves and conviction, "I have always believed in the soulless global vision, integrity, innovation, and leadership. Unfortunately, I have come across information that betrays those very values, and I can no longer remain silent." A wave of murmurs traveled through the audience. Chloe, standing near the front, squinted her eyes. Leo stiffened, a flash of alarm crossing his face. Eliza gave a signal to the AV technician, who Paige had discreetly briefed beforehand. The projector came to life behind her, displaying a series of incriminating emails between Leo and Chloe, discussing late-night meetings, romantic encounters, and personal details that left no room for an innocent interpretation. Then came the photos, them entering hotels, leaving private suites, traveling together in the middle of the night. Gasps were heard. Leo strode furiously toward the stage. Chloe looked stunned, her face drained of color. Eliza's heart pounded, but she held her ground. Leo climbed the stage steps, his voice low, but panicked. "Eliza, we need to talk in private. This is insane. Take this down now." Behind him, the audience was in an uproar with phone cameras flashing, capturing every moment. Eliza refused to yield. "For too long, I've been humiliated in private. If the scandal is out, it should be the truth. Not some rumor you invent, she said, her words amplified. By the microphone, she turned to face him, her eyes blazing. You broke our vows in your office, in our home, and with our money. Tonight, I am exposing your betrayal, under the same lights you used to celebrate our marriage. Chloe's expression contorted from shock to rage. She tried to push her way through the crowd, but security guards anticipating the commotion blocked her path. The silence that settled in the room was electric. Everyone waited to see what Leo would do. He raised his hands in a placating gesture. Eliza, please. I can explain. His voice cracked. No rehearsed speech or corporate manipulation could save him. Now. Eliza squared her shoulders. There's nothing left to explain. You have dishonored me and this company. And with that, she turned and walked away, leaving him visibly shaken. The ballroom erupted into chaos. Reporters who had been invited for the official announcement scrambled forward, shouting for statements. Social media influencers live-streamed the spectacle, sparking a viral firestorm. Investors, including the formidable Victoria Sterling, exchanged horrified glances, some openly indignant, others retreating to corners to make frantic phone calls. Chloe pushed her way past security, tears of fury streaking her cheeks. You set me up, she hissed at Eliza, though the microphone still caught fragments of her words. Leo and I, this was between us. How dare you do this in public? Eliza met, her gaze, feeling a strange surge of confidence. You already did it in public, she said, her voice cold. I'm simply letting the world see it. Nearby, Leo tried to intervene, but investors surrounded him, demanding answers. What about our Dubai partnership? One shouted. Was that just a cover for your affair? Leo's voice trembled. I never intended to. Listen, it's complicated. We can save the deal. This has nothing to do with business. But the damage was done. The illusions of trust and respect were shattered on the marble floor. In a matter of minutes, Leo's carefully curated image disintegrated, replaced by an irreparable scandal. Amidst the media frenzy, Eliza slipped out a side door, accompanied by Paige. She felt numb, a strange mix of triumph and pain swirling inside her. On the limousine ride back to their Solace penthouse, she looked out the window at the city lights, her mind replaying the expressions of shock from everyone at the event. She knew her actions were drastic, but she did not regret them. When they arrived, Paige tried to offer her words of comfort. You did what you had to do. You were honest about his betrayal, even if it was brutal. Eliza's throat felt tight. She remembered the early days, the kind way Leo had courted her, the vows they exchanged by a moonlit lake in Italy. I can't believe what he's become, she whispered. Tears threatened, but she held them back. She wouldn't allow herself to fall apart. At least not yet. Paige poured her a drink, and Eliza drank it with gratitude. She knew the war wasn't over. Leo would be coming home, and she had to decide what came next. For now, she allowed herself the solace of a silent penthouse, far from the glare and drama she had just unleashed. The new beginning. It was almost dawn when Leo finally returned. He looked like a ghost of his former self, his tie undone, his hair disheveled, and his eyes red with fatigue. The instant Eliza saw him, all her pent-up rage and pain flared. She stood in the foyer, her arms crossed. Your phone hasn't stopped ringing, she said dryly. Investors, the press, the board. It seems everyone wants to know what happened. Leo dropped his keys on a console, letting out a shaky sigh. Eliza, let's talk this out calmly. You want calm? She snapped, her voice cracking. I gave you calm, all the days you lied to me, all the nights you slept with her. He stepped closer, desperation in his eyes. I'm so sorry. I never meant to. Don't say it. She held up her hand, tears stinging behind her eyelids. I'm done with your apologies. The damage is done. For a moment, he looked genuinely remorseful, or perhaps just cornered. Let's fix this. We can manage the board. I'll end things with Chloe. We can fix our marriage. She let out a humorless laugh. You think I exposed you in front of the world to fix this marriage? No, Leo. This is the end. She turned and walked away, leaving him alone in the foyer with his guilt. The day after the catastrophic gala, Thesoleil Global Board of Directors met in an emergency session. Investor confidence had plummeted overnight. Stock prices plunged amid rumors of corporate instability and leadership irregularities. Victoria Sterling led the charge, demanding immediate accountability. Leo walked into the boardroom to a frigid reception. Though he tried to defend himself, citing his personal indiscretion as separate from corporate governance, the board would not be appeased. You used company resources for your affair, Victoria stated, referencing Jones's evidence. Hot suites charged to corporate cards, flights disguised as business trips. This is unethical and could be legally damaging. Several board members, outraged, proposed an immediate ousting of Leo as CEO. Another faction suggested a temporary leave while an internal investigation commenced. Leo, pale and humbled, tried to salvage his position. But the gravity of the scandal was undeniable. Meanwhile, Chloe Vega was nowhere to be found. She was rumored to have flown to Europe to escape the media glare. HR froze her accounts and launched its own investigations. In less than 24 hours, Leo's unstoppable empire was teetering on the edge, undone by the very arrogance that once built it. The scandal dominated news cycles. The hashtag "He Lies" trended on social media, and tabloids published conspiratorial timelines of the affair. Business channels speculated on how the fiasco might affect global markets, while gossip columns feasted on the personal drama. Paparazzi camped outside the soulless penthouse, hoping for a glimpse of Eliza or Leo. At first, Eliza stayed inside, stunned by the worldwide attention. Then, she received a phone call from a well-known journalist, Meredith Brooks, requesting an exclusive interview. Eliza hesitated. She loathed public spectacle, but she realized that telling her story could be a strategic move to protect herself and perhaps reassert her identity beyond the scorned wife. When the day of the interview arrived, Eliza found herself in a serene television studio with lights softly illuminating the set. Meredith, known for her fair but incisive style, asked probing questions about the affair, the corporate fallout, and Eliza's personal anguish. With composure, Eliza spoke candidly about her heartbreak, her reasons for exposing Leo publicly, and her hope for a more ethical corporate culture. The interview aired that night. It prompted an outpouring of support from viewers who admired her courage. However, the condemnation of Leo grew more fierce, fueling a scandal that was already ablaze. In the following weeks, Eliza took refuge at a smaller, Solis family-owned property, a quiet lakeside villa outside the city. There, she tried to piece her life back together. Old photographs reminded her of how quickly everything had changed. Her wide-eyed excitement upon joining Solulus Global, her wedding day with a beaming Leo, looking at her with what she believed was genuine adoration. Now every memory felt tainted. Yet, amidst the heartbreak, she realized she still had her intellect, her network, and her resilience. Friends like Paige visited her often, delivering company updates and moral support. Victoria Sterling called her regularly, urging Eliza to stay strong amid the board's negotiations regarding Leo's fate. Sometimes Eliza's phone would buzz with unknown numbers. She had grown cautious, suspecting they were journalists or even Chloe herself. "Butone night," she answered hesitantly, only to hear a trembling female voice. "It's me, Chloe," the caller whispered, her tone almost apologetic. "I need toe talk." Eliza's pulse quickened. A part of her wanted to hang up, but curiosity mixed with a desire for final closure. "Okay," she said softly. "What do you have to say?" Little did she know how her next move would change everything. The final reckoning, Eliza met with Chloe Vega at a discreet cafe on the outskirts of London. She arrived with cautious expectations, ready to fend off a diatribe or half-hearted justifications. However, Chloe looked uncharacteristically nervous, her hair in a simple ponytail, her makeup minimal. "I'm not here to fight," Chloe began softly, fidgeting with her coffee cup. "What happened is my fault too. I should have known better. But Leo made promises about my career, about a life with him. If I just proved my loyalty." Eliza remained silent, letting Chloe's words tumble out. She learned that their affair had started nearly a year ago, fueled by late nights and a mutual ambition. Chloe admitted she fell for Leo's visions of grandeur, believing he would eventually leave Eliza. "I realize how foolish I was," she said, her eyes moist with regret. Taking a sip of her tea, Eliza paused. She felt no sympathy for the woman who had helped dismantle her marriage, but she recognized Chloe's sincerity. "Why are you telling me this now?" she finally asked. Chloe handed her a thick envelope. Inside was more proof of Leo's shady corporate dealings, documents detailing dubious offshore accounts, bribery transactions, and questionable contracts. "I guess I learned my lesson," Chloe murmured, tears glinting. "He used me. I can't protect him anymore." Armed with Chloe's documents, Eliza returned to the city. A special board session was scheduled to determine Leo's fate. She decided to attend, not as a passive observer, but as a key voice in the struggle for the company's leadership. The boardroom was silent when she entered. At the head of the table sat Victoria Sterling, flanked by grim-faced directors. Leo, looking pale and defeated, occupied a seat opposite the door. He barely met Eliza's gaze. She spoke calmly, handing out copies of the documents. "This affair isn't just a personal betrayal," she announced. "Leo has risked the company's credibility by mixing personal indiscretions with corporate assets. The evidence here shows even deeper violations." As the board members perused the pages, exclamations spread throughout Thetable. Leo's face turned red with fury. "You're going to destroy everything I built," he hissed, glaring at Eliza. She met his gaze without flinching. "You destroyed it yourself. I am simply revealing what's hidden." Victoria rapped her pen against the table. "These documents confirm that we have grounds for the immediate removal of Leo Soles as CEO. The board can vote on the motion today." Eliza exhaled. The final confrontation was at hand. Despite Leo's attempts to justify his actions, claiming the offshore accounts were for tax efficiency and the bribery payments were to fend off frivolous lawsuits, the board was unimpressed. Even the members who were once loyal to him realized the risk of backing a leader who had publicly disgraced the company and who might face legal repercussions. The vote was swift, a unanimous removal of Leo Soles from the CEO position. An interim CEO was appointed to stabilize the firm and reassure investors. Victoria Sterling leaned back in her chair, a mix of relief and pain on her face. The soul's name, once synonymous with unstoppable success, was now emblematic of scandal. Leo walked out of the boardroom, refusing to look at Eliza. As he passed, she could feel the bitterness radiating from him. A man accustomed to total control, suddenly cast aside. In the hallway, Paige silently approached Eliza. "Are you okay?" Eliza wiped a single tear. "I will be," she whispered, catching a glimpse through the glass doors as Leo disappeared from the building. A lost empire in his wake, redefining success. Genevieve woke to the soft glow of dawn filtering through the curtains of her lakeside villa. For a moment, she lay still, listening to the tranquil sound of water lapping against the shore. She felt lighter than she had in years, no dread in her stomach, no frantic need to check her phone for hidden truths. The divorce papers had been signed, the final decisions made, and she was at last unequivocally free. Putting on a plush robe, she padded into the spacious living room and stopped at the panoramic windows. Overlooking the lake, the mist clung to the water's surface, floating like ghosts in the morning light. Once such a peaceful scene would have felt eerily still to her, a mocking contrast to her chaotic marriage. Today, however, the silence was a gift. It cradled her in the promise of new beginnings, a clean slate she had never dared to imagine. Her mind wandered over the past months. The memories of Leo still fluttered at the edges of her consciousness, their happy early days, the quiet moments of genuine warmth. But each memory felt strangely distant now, like flashes of a life she had read about rather than lived. The pain was softer. She had no illusions of rewriting the past. The betrayal had changed her irreversibly. Yet she was determined not to let that betrayal define the rest of her life. A soft knock on the door broke her reverie. Paige, now the operations manager for the newly formed Marshall Sterling Foundation, entered with a bright smile and a folder in hand. "The mentorship program is taking off," she announced excitedly, flipping through pages of notes. "We've had an overwhelming response from young women wanting to start their own businesses. Funding applications are at an all-time high." Genevieve couldn't help but smile. She remembered the countless nights she had spent drafting the foundation's mission statement, channeling her pain into something bigger than herself. Each success story, each woman who found her voice and launched her dream, felt like a personal victory. It was proof that light could break through even the darkest shadows. Over a breakfast of fresh fruit and warm pastries, Paige shared updates on the Foundation's upcoming gala. Eliza would be the keynote speaker, her first major public appearance since the divorce was finalized. The prospect both thrilled and unnerved her, but she saw it as an opportunity to claim the narrative, no longer as a scorned wife, but as a leader championing female empowerment and ethical leadership. After Paige left, Eliza took a moment to reflect on all that had changed. The platform, once monopolized by Leo's ambition, had now been repurposed into her own vehicle for positive impact. She had discovered a new sense of identity by fostering innovation and integrity among young entrepreneurs, particularly women who might otherwise be overlooked or underestimated. That afternoon, she strolled along the lakeshore, letting the stones crunch under her sandals. Her thoughts drifted from personal gratitude to larger ambitions for the foundation. She imagined expanding internationally, partnering with like-minded organizations, perhaps even initiating policy discussions that would safeguard against corporate abuses of power. She also considered writing a book, part memoir, part business manifesto, detailing her journey from wide-eyed intern to high-profile wife to empowered founder. It was a daunting idea, but one that excited her. As the sun set, she stopped to skip a stone across the water. Each gentle ripple, Rama, reminded her of how a single action could send ripples across an entire surface. Her choice to expose the truth about her marriage had been painful and dramatic, but ultimately necessary. And those ripples had paved the way for a future filled with authenticity instead of secrecy. When she finally returned to the villa, the sun was warm on her face, and a quiet confidence settled in her heart. Eliza knew there would be challenges ahead, skeptics, perhaps new betrayals, and the lingering echoes of her past. But she also knew she possessed the strength to face them. In that moment, she realized she wasn't just free from Leo's shadow. She was free to chart her own path. She was Eliza Marshall, resilient, determined, and alive with possibility. And for the first time in a very long time, her future felt as expansive and promising as the shimmering lake that stretched out before her. This compelling story of Eliza Marshall and Leo Solulis reveals the dark consequences of unchecked ambition and deceit. What began as a fairy tale romance soon unraveled into heartbreak when secrets, hushed phone calls, and clandestine meetings came to light. The betrayal not only shattered Eliza's innocence, but also threatened the very foundations of Soulless Global. Yet from the ruins of her marriage, she found a renewed purpose, leveraging her pain to champion ethical leadership and empower women forging their own paths in business. Eliza's journey reminds us that resilience often emerges from our darkest hours. No matter how public or painful the downfall, we can all rise again, stronger, wiser, and with a clearer vision for the future. What do you think was the most profound realization Eliza had during her journey?